This happened in March of 2020, right when the COVID lockdown started. Most people were staying home. I decided to go camping. I've always used the outdoors as a way to clear my head, and with the parks practically empty, it seemed like the perfect time to disappear for a couple days. I drove out to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado and hiked to a small creek I knew about. The place was completely deserted. No hikers, no campers, no voices, just me and miles of forest. Looking back, that should have been my first warning. I set up my tent a little way off the trail, started a fire, cooked some food, and spent the evening reading by the flames. For the first time in months, I actually felt relaxed. As the sun went down, the temperature dropped fast. The woods became silent, not peaceful silent, the kind of silent that makes you feel like you're being watched. I tried to ignore it. After all, I was alone. At least, I thought I was. Around 9 p.m., my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I figured it was spam. Then another text came through. Pretty nice spot you picked. I frowned. A few seconds later, another message appeared. Not many people around tonight. I immediately sat up. My stomach dropped. There was no way anyone should know where I was. I hadn't told anybody. Not my friends, not my family, nobody. Then a third text arrived. I can see why you chose this place. My heart started pounding. I stood up and turned in a slow circle. Nothing, just darkness, trees, and the sound of the creek. I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. I told myself it was a prank, some random coincidence, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. I climbed into my tent and kept checking my phone every few seconds. Minutes passed, then nearly an hour. Nothing. I started convincing myself I was overreacting. Then my phone buzzed again. The message said, "Doesn't matter anymore." That was it. No explanation, no name, nothing. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it. Then I noticed something. The fire outside was almost out. The light was fading, and the darkness around my tent suddenly felt much closer. That's when I heard it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps, human footsteps, moving through the snow, coming straight toward my tent. Every step sounded louder than the last. I froze. The footsteps stopped just outside, maybe 6 feet away. Then everything went silent. I couldn't even hear myself breathe. My hand tightened around the handgun I'd brought with me. I remember staring at the tent wall, waiting, listening, praying. Then there was a flash, a quick burst of light, like someone had taken a picture. A second later, I heard the footsteps walking away, slowly, deliberately, like whoever it was wanted me to know they had been there. My phone buzzed. I already knew what I was going to see. I looked down and felt my blood run cold. It was a photo of my tent, taken just seconds earlier. The angle was only a few feet away. Underneath the picture was a message. Sleep well. Something inside me snapped. All the fear disappeared. Pure adrenaline took over. I unzipped the tent, stepped outside, and fired 2 warning shots into the air. The sound echoed through the mountains. Immediately, I heard someone running, fast, branches snapping, footsteps crashing through the woods, getting farther away. Then silence, complete silence. No more texts, no more footsteps, nothing. I stayed awake for hours. Every shadow looked like a person. Every sound made me jump. Eventually, morning came, and I've never been happier to see sunlight. I packed my gear and left. I never found out who was watching me, and I never went back to that spot. Nearly 6 years later, I still think about that photo, because whoever took it was standing only a few feet away from me, and I never heard them coming.
When I was 13 years old, my brother, 2 cousins, and I convinced our parents to let us spend the night camping alone in the woods. At the time, it sounded awesome. A whole night with no adults, no rules, just us. By midnight, we were terrified. Our family owned property in northern Michigan. Behind the house was a huge stretch of forest. The nearest neighbors were miles away. Earlier that day, our dads helped us set up a tent deep in the woods. Then, they left us there for the night. At first, it was fun. We played cards, told jokes, tried to act tougher than we really were. Then we heard a scream. A woman's scream, far away. Everyone immediately went quiet. My youngest cousin looked like he was about to cry. I told him it was probably a fox. Foxes can sound weird at night. At least, that's what I hoped. A few minutes later, it happened again, this time much closer. The sound echoed through the trees. Long, high-pitched, and unmistakably human. Every hair on my arm stood up. Nobody laughed anymore. Nobody talked. We just sat there, listening, waiting. Then everything went silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that makes your chest tighten. The kind that tells you something is wrong. Then we heard footsteps. Fast footsteps. Charging through the leaves. Coming straight toward us. All four of us froze. The footsteps got closer, and closer, and closer. Then suddenly, bang! Something slammed into the side of the tent. The entire tent shook violently. My cousin started screaming. My brother grabbed my arm. Another scream erupted outside, louder than before, right beside us. Whatever was out there began shaking the tent. Hard, like someone was trying to knock it over. For a few seconds, pure chaos exploded inside. Everyone was screaming. Nobody knew what to do. Then, survival instinct kicked in. I unzipped the tent and ran. The others followed. We sprinted through the woods as fast as we could. Branches whipped against our faces. Leaves crunched beneath our feet. Behind us, we could still hear movement, something crashing through the darkness, following us. Or at least, that's what it felt like. I didn't look back, not once, because I was terrified of what I might see. Eventually, we burst out of the woods and reached the house. Our entire family was already outside. They had heard the screaming. We were all crying and talking over each other, trying to explain what happened. At first, I thought maybe one of our sisters had tried to scare us, but they were already asleep inside the house. They hadn't left all night. The realization hit all of us at the same time. Whoever, or whatever, was outside our tent wasn't family. Our dads grabbed rifles and searched the woods. They were gone for nearly an hour. When they returned, they looked confused. They hadn't found anybody. No footprints, no campsite, no vehicle, nothing. It was like whoever had been out there simply vanished. We packed up the tent the next morning. Nobody wanted to spend another night in those woods. Honestly, nobody wanted to go back into those woods at all. That happened years ago, and to this day, we still don't know who was out there. But sometimes, when I'm lying awake at night, I remember that scream, the one that came from just outside the tent. And I still wonder what would have happened if we hadn't run, or if whatever was out there had gotten inside first.